call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Welcome in to the Pod at the Palace post-game show presented by SARACEN, Arkansas's #1 sports betting app. New users download on Apple or Google Play and use code INSIDEAR250 at sign up to get $250 in bonus bets after placing your first $25 real cash bet. Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis here with you this evening following Arkansas's lopsided loss at Auburn, 95-73, the final. Burn the tape. I mean, sheesh, man. Listen, it's one game, right? Not the end of the world, but it's also not a good look at all, right? It's like you can't let one loss beat you twice. We'll talk about all that later. But as we react to what we just watched in the moment in this post-game show, Arkansas embarrassed themselves today. They did. They were not prepared for this moment or this spot. I'd pretty much told myself, Andrew, I wouldn't get too worked up over a loss in this one. You know, like you split the road trip, you get back home, all as well. But that was before I saw this group that's worked very, very hard to earn respect, claw its way into the top 15, get into that SEC title discussion, look pretty unprepared and uninterested in a spot like this. So by far the most disappointing performance of the season for Arkansas so far. It was kind of like everyone on the planet knew that the Razorbacks were walking into a hornet's nest, facing a team with their backs against the wall, that you would have to match a super intense effort, except Arkansas. Like they were the only ones who I guess didn't know that was a thing. So I don't know, man. Chucking threes, careless with the ball, jogging in transition, watching Auburn fly around on the boards, playing zero defense, not guarding the best scorer in the country. Not really a good recipe for success on the road. But this group is always punch back. They usually play a full game. They didn't today, and that is unfortunate.
Yeah, use that word embarrassing, and that's the one that just keeps ringing in my head. Matter of fact, like I'm watching the game, doing my thing here, and Hillary every few minutes would ask what the score was, and I literally got embarrassed. I was like, they're down by 15. Oh, they're down by 18. And it's like I was embarrassed having to tell her how badly it was going. And listen, credit to Auburn, and I do want to congratulate them on a great win. Like they've had some tough bumps here in SEC play. They responded extremely well. Nobody had to question whether Auburn wanted to be there, whether they were locked in, whether they were desperate. They played with a desperation, which you expect 0-2 versus 2-0. You expect the 0-2 team to be a little bit more hopped up, and they're at home. And like you said, these are all things we knew coming in. This was not like a surprise we found out in real time. We kind of knew, hey, this is a big one. And, of course, I love the NBA, and there's a thing in the NBA where it's like you can kind of schedule some losses. And nowadays teams do this thing called load management where they get in front of it where, you're flying from Portland to Portland to Brooklyn, and it's kind of back to back. And you just kind of know it's not your night, and teams will kind of adjust accordingly. So this is a common thing that happens where you just kind of can see on the schedule. And of course, Arkansas playing Wednesday at 8 p.m. versus Auburn playing at home Tuesday, that this is a little bit of a factor here, a little bit different in college basketball. And while that certainly impacts things and it changes the way you approach a game, it's not a valid excuse to just not show up at all. And like you said, we were prepared to talk about a loss. Had this been a situation where Arkansas plays a close game, you get to the end and you just realize, you know what, the team at home with a little bit more desperation, they were able to pull it out. That's a much easier pill to swallow. Just showing up completely uninterested and unprepared for the matchup is hard to swallow, and it's just part of this team's DNA that they have. Now, the good thing is they have a lot of good things in their DNA as well. We've seen a lot of that. There's a lot of things that lead us to believe this team can do some cool things, but we've now seen this a few times now. Against Houston, Arkansas came completely unprepared for that matchup. Duke, to a lesser extent, I know they kind of made it close late, but I feel like that was another one where they just kind of weren't ready for the moment, and then they could kind of tell early it's not our night, and it seemed like everyone on the floor for Arkansas made a collective decision, this isn't our night and it's okay. And it just is scary to cheer for a team that has that. And again, it doesn't really take away from what they can accomplish and what, frankly, they might turn around and do right off of this. They might rattle off 3 or 4 straight wins. But it just sucks that as we get closer and closer to tournament time, we're not going to forget that this kind of stuff happened. And we've seen some must teams that kind of work it out of their DNA, and maybe this team will do that as well. But it just sucks to know that you have that capability of you get the right night, right matchup, your team can show up and be completely uninterested and not even give themselves a chance.
Yeah, for sure, man. And appreciate everybody for tuning in with us here tonight. After a kind of a crappy game like that, it's nice to see that people are still in here engaging with us, and we're going to get to your chats pretty quick here. The common vibe that I see so far is basically what we're saying, where people are thinking, all right, this was going to be a a tough one on the road. Auburn's a tough place to play. You're catching them at a horrific time. A loss, not the end of the world, but man, it sure was a stinker, and that's what gets me. Even in some of these games that you talked about, like Arkansas gave up the crazy 21-2 run or whatever the heck it was against Houston. Well, then they answered and they fought back. And I'm not saying they ever had a chance to win that game or like make it a game or whatever, but they cut it to single digits and they lost by 9 at the end. That looks a heck of a lot different than this. I was thinking Arkansas was fortunate to only be down 15, Andrew, at halftime because it could be in 30. And I thought, all right, so, hey, there's your wake-up call. It's probably going to be one of those things where you dug too deep of a hole. It's too little too late. But I bet they respond and they play quite a bit better in the second half. And maybe you get this thing into single digits and we can talk about, well, you've got to play a full 40 minutes. Nope, they didn't play a full 1 minute in this basketball game. It did not get better after halftime. Carter Knox hurt himself. It sounds like a hip injury. Looked kind of precautionary in terms of keeping him out. Like, I don't know why put him back in when things are going the way that they were there. But yeah, man, it was rough. And, you don't want to overreact to one loss and think, boy, this is it's just all going to go downhill from here. Arkansas gets South Carolina at home on Wednesday. They need to handle their business. And then you're looking, they're 3-1. They're in a really good spot. Okay. But if you were to take something away from this, this is concerning moving forward, at what point do we just say, hey, this defense might just be buns for Arkansas? Like, they'll win a lot of games because the offense can be elite, but sometimes, like today, it's off or it's not clicking or whatever. And can you sit down and guard a team and win a game against a good basketball team? And that is something that Arkansas hasn't necessarily proven they can do. They've had a couple solid efforts at home, and they've had a couple halves here and there, but this was nowhere near it. And the effort was not there in this basketball game. They have a hell of a time just slowing down good players. I mean, Keshan Hall got whatever he wanted. And it's crazy because he was going to get his anyway. So maybe Arkansas knew that and they just decided not to guard him. You'd think he was wearing camouflage. It was almost like they couldn't see him because there's no other reason for him to be as wide open as he was the entire game. The defense is massively concerning to me. The shot selection stunk. They couldn't get it going offensively. They're going to be fine from that standpoint, but they got a lot to work on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, coming away from this game, definitely more discouraged by the defense than I am the offense. It was a very pedestrian offensive performance, but like you said, we know kind of what the capability is there. Not that they don't have any capability defensively, but what sucks about it is it's such a collective thing. It'd be one thing if there were just a consistent theme of, oh, teams are consistently jamming it in the post and they're dominating Arkansas, or, oh, they're just consistently hitting threes against Arkansas, or hey, they're ISOing Darius Acuff and really targeting him. It's a collective thing. It's their rotations on the perimeter. It's staying in front of the ball. It's at the rim they have issues. It's on the glass they've had some issues. Auburn was killing them on the offensive glass. And when it's a collective thing like that, it's really hard to solve. Like, they can play better and they can maybe have better matchups where they'll be more suited to defend teams, but I just don't think you can clear up all of these issues. And so I think there's a ceiling on what Arkansas can do defensively. Luckily, there's a very, very high ceiling on what they can do offensively, and there's no doubt about it. Like, that's the identity of this team. That's what their season is going to end up being determined by, is can they consistently outscore teams? But it's definitely scary, man. And again, I come back to this sense of, like, you get into March and you get into a one-game sample size. We just can't. There's not teams that we can look at and say, hey, Arkansas is not going to have issues here, or they're not going to have issues there. They can beat anyone, but they can also get popped. And the way they play defense, it allows teams to kind of settle in. And so you're going to face in March, you're going to face teams that are playing with desperation, teams that are playing with confidence, teams that can shoot the ball, teams that have multiple high-level scorers. Like, it's really easy to get popped in those situations. And so no matter how good they are and no matter what their seed is, they could literally be a 2 seed entering the NCAA tournament. And you still kind of have to watch between your fingers, because you're like, they could just give up 16 threes here tonight. It's very possible. And, Keshan Hall, credit to him, the dude's a monster, but he got like 4 or 5 wide open point blank looks from three. And I know that 3-point shooting hasn't always been the most consistent part of his game, but you can't make it that easy on him, dude. They took a boomer bust player and made him all boom.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, Keshan Hall finishes with 30 in this game. And just the efficiency was unreal. 11 of 14 he missed 3 shots, and 4 or 5 from 3. He made his free throws. And he's a guy who's kind of a free throw merchant. A lot of times he might score 30, but he gets 16 at the line. you're not going to get to the free throw line. Maybe that was the plan. Hey, we're not going to put him on the free throw line. That doesn't mean you don't guard him at all. It was crazy. I've got a question. Sorry, like some of the game planning, scouting report stuff here. Keshan Hall is one of the most difficult matchups in the country, and I'm having a hard time understanding why Arkansas was so content continuing to switch everything out there on the perimeter. How many times was Darius Acuff matched up on Keshan Hall? That's a major issue. That's barbecue chicken alert. And it's not a knock on Darius Acuff. That's just, I mean, the dude's got 45 pounds and 6 inches of height on you, and he's super, super skilled. That's a bucket every single time. I don't know why they continue to do that, but they came to a point by halftime where it didn't even really matter because, they weren't guarding anybody out there. So that's a frustrating thing. I will say, and I know you gave credit to Auburn earlier, and yeah, I mean, they responded with their backs against the wall, but credit to Stephen Pearl for having the book on Arkansas, man. This is an Arkansas team that is prone to slow starts, so hit them first. This is an Arkansas team that if you get them in a rotation defensively, like if you go side to side swing, you're going to get a good look on them. You just are. And if you get into their chest, they will retreat, whether it's the guards, the front court players, whatever, and check all three of those things. And then we have the result that we did at the end of the game.
I mean, that's in a nutshell, Curtis. That is what sports and competition are all about. Is you have an opponent, you know what they bring to the table, you know they're very good, you prepare accordingly. All right, hey, they're really good at this, so let's stop that. They don't like to do this, so let's force them to do that. You're trying to figure out a way to make your opponent, who you know is good, worse. Stephen Pearl did a good job at that. I just feel like Arkansas, like we keep using this term unprepared. We're just not prepared for what Auburn can challenge them with, specifically the leading scorer in the conference. You know what I mean? Like there was just so many things where it's like, we all kind of felt like we knew this coming into the matchup. And like you said, Arkansas was the last team to figure it out. One thing I thought was telling, and people may not think this is a big deal, and they may think I'm being a little dramatic. At halftime, they interview Cal, and he says, listen, I'm excited for the second half because I'm excited to see who we are. Like, that sucked. We know we're going to have to bounce back. Now we have to see who we are. And then they quit again. And like, I get it. It's first half, second half. You can kind of throw it all under the same umbrella and say, hey, it just wasn't our night. That's two separate decisions you made to quit. And really throughout the game, there are a lot of little miniature decisions. You want to talk about throwing away the film? I actually want to hold on to this film, Curtis, because I think there's a lot of things we can pull and just say, how does this happen? This is a one-on-one. You're trying to get open. He's trying to stop you. You're letting him win that. There's just multiple moments where Arkansas concedes. There was one point where someone was dribbling in front of Darius Acuff, and he lost his dribble, but Darius Acuff was playing such soft defense that he wasn't even in a position to steal the ball from him because he wasn't even engaged in the battle. And it's just like, it just sucks, man. It sucks to we all kind of feel like we're prepared for this, and you just show up and your team had no interest in it. I have no doubt they're going to flush this and move on, but man, it's hard to get out of your head.
Yeah, for sure. I want to expand on that just a little bit, and we're going to get to your chats here pretty quick, folks. But first, I got to ask the question, are you ready to fight? Some of you might be after that game. Will you fight harder than Arkansas did today? I don't know. But if so, you got to check out the new Fight House Gym in Northwest Arkansas. It's the #1 boxing, MMA, and strength training gym in NWA, built for athletes, competitors, anyone ready to push their limits. From high-energy boxing and MMA training to free weights, elite cardio equipment, sleds, and cross-training, Fight House Gym delivers everything you need to train at the highest level. Push your body to the edge and recover like a pro with their cold plunge and saunas designed to keep you strong and ready for more. Whether you're a seasoned fighter or just starting your fitness journey, this is the gym that meets you where you are and pushes you further. It's not just a gym, it's a mindset. Fight House Gym is now open at 10131 Webb Way in Fayetteville, exit 58 off I-49. Sign up today at fighthousegym.com or call 951-623-9745 and step inside and bring the fight. Eric Musselman used to do the thing where they would go do like the kickboxing classes or whatever, or he'd, pull out the weighted vests and the bricks and stuff like that. Maybe Arkansas needs to go to Fight House Gym. You take Sunday off, get the legs right, go in there on Monday, skip practice, and go hit the bags, because we do need to see some more fight out of these guys on the defensive end of the floor. And I've seen a few folks in the chat who have, I'm not saying making excuses, but like attributed to fatigue. Arkansas looks worn out and everything. Hey, there's probably something to that to a degree, right? Sure. I'm with you. And when you have a back-to-back road swing and you have one less day of rest, that's going to be part of it. And we've seen some guys limping around a little bit, Acuff and guys, obviously Knox tweak something, whatever today. Welcome to the SEC though. You know what I mean? Like everybody's playing 2 games a week now. You built the roster the way that you did, where you've got 8 guys that you're comfortable playing with, be in better shape or whatever. I mean, like everybody's going through this. So like, this isn't something that's unique to Arkansas, but now you look at it defensively and, after the Tennessee game, Andrew, I started to feel encouraged. Not that all of a sudden Arkansas was going to be a, an elite level defense in this conference, but it's like, all right, they seems like they have something to work with here. Well, if you watch Tennessee today, maybe they're not that good. Okay. So I'm not saying that it's aging poorly already, because there's a lot of season left. Tennessee's going to win their games, but they're not the most offensively gifted group in the country. Ole Miss, you let them score more points than they have on anyone else that's a high major program that they played. They shot 60% in the second half of that game, and we attributed to, well, Arkansas got the big lead. They were coasting. The scrubs came in. Some Brazilian kid got hot, whatever. Well, then you turn around and you have this, against Auburn, and you look up and they shoot 57% from the field, 10 of 22 from 3. They get to the line 24 times and they pop you for 95. And had they not taken the air out of the ball, if they wanted to score 110 in this game, they would have. So something's got to give here for the Razorbacks. And yeah, they've got some leaky stuff with their pick and roll defense, but it is just a little bit of that kind of what you were talking about, but like mano-a-mano. How is this guy beating you off the bounce so easily? Where is the resistance here? Why aren't you out there in this passing lane? Some effort-based type stuff that they've got to get corrected in a hurry.
Yeah, I always do get a kick out of sometimes where we as fans convince ourselves that our mentality and the way we view it affects the team. And, we have fans that'll do the thing where they're like, hey, 1 game at a time. We can't be looking ahead. And it's like, dude, as fans, we can do whatever. But I do think about that in this conversation, because you're right. Like, there are valid reasons for why Arkansas would be tired, especially with Carter Knox not able to go at all in the second half. I think he played 7 minutes in the first half. Like, these are valid things. And listen, Auburn was clearly very hungry, very desperate, and they're very talented. Frankly, Arkansas is not going to face many teams with as much offensive talent as Auburn, to be honest with you. But the thing is, while those are true statements and valid reasons for why something like this would happen, why as fans or as just people involved with the program or whatever, would we accept that as like a good enough reason to lose by 22 and to just completely not show up whatsoever? And I also just come back to the point of like the NCAA tournament is designed with challenges exactly like this. You play a game on Friday, very emotional, 40 minutes, tough, knockdown, drag out, and then you turn around less than 48 hours and you play again. I know it's a little bit different than this situation with travel midweek and all that, but it's like, are you just going to say in that moment, well, I mean, we had a quick turnaround. I mean, we couldn't have played hard in that second game. It was a quick turnaround. Or, well, this team was just very motivated. It's like that's not a valid thing that we should be saying. Like, do we just pick and choose when we're going to hold this team to high championship level standards? If that's what you guys want to do, I'm down to do it. Because, like, honestly, this might not be a championship level team, but I think that's the most frustrating part is like, you just want to see, there's always valid reasons to quit and there's always valid reasons to lose. You just want to see your team rise above that. And I think that's the big disappointing part is it's not like this is an unacceptable, crazy, how did this happen? You just wanted to see Arkansas rise above it. And not only did they not, they didn't even come close.
Yeah. No doubt about it, man. And now it's all about the response for sure. And again, like that's what we talk about Monday and Tuesday leading up to the South Carolina game. But you need to see a response from the Razorbacks. Like you get that extra day because it's a Wednesday game and you're at home and you're playing a team that's better than they were last year, but still going to finish towards the bottom of the league. Like Arkansas, I'm not saying that they've got to go out there and put a whooping on South Carolina the way that Auburn just did them, but you need to go out and win and look the part, and it really needs to be an inspired type of defensive effort, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Andrew, did you feel like, can you name me one Razorback in this game that you felt like played well? Did anyone stand out to you?
Malik Ewan had moments here, but I don't know if I would describe either of those guys as playing well.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same vein there. Leak kept playing. That's what I'll say about Malik Thomas. He kept playing throughout the course of this game. 3 turnovers in there. Yeah, Malik Ewan, you look up at the end of the game and he goes for 13 and 12, but man, he kind of got back to the standing and watching thing defensively. I'm pleased with his effort on the glass, but He was not offering up any resistance over there around the rim. So I don't know. It's crazy because I didn't think Acuff played very well at all for Arkansas in this game. He still had 19 points and it was damn near 50% from the field, but only 1 assist, 3 turnovers. And we were texting back and forth early when Arkansas was like sort of hanging around, but you could kind of feel where it was headed. It was like one bad shot and one bad decision after another. Just didn't seem like the focus was there coming into the game. Just kind of a strange deal, and hopefully it was a one-off for the Razorbacks.
Did he finish with 1 assist? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
And he got it pretty early, I'm pretty sure. Now, he did have a very good pass early to Nick Pringle that just got wasted because Nick Pringle, I don't know what happened. But no, I even texted you when it's funny, right when I texted you that he hit back-to-back threes. When I was like, dude, he hasn't made a good decision yet. But you're 100% right. And listen, Darius Acuff, there's anybody who's earned the long leash to maybe take a shot that's a little selfish or maybe make a decision that's not conventional, it's him. But I do come back to, hey, we're holding these guys to a high standard, him more than anyone else. That's tough whenever your leader and your guy that you're kind of counting on to generate 80% of your offense comes out and makes bad decisions and is kind of playing a different brand of basketball than you used to. I did notice the severe lack of passes. That was really the first time I've seen that out of him.
Yeah, I know. That was I don't know, man. One of them games. Let's get into the chat. I want to see how everybody's doing here, and we want to be able to keep you as long as we can. So you probably want to hear your own voices heard after a game like this. But shout out to our partners over at OZK Insurance for sponsoring all of our post-game content this season here at the Pod at the Palace. They're a little bit different, right? As an independent insurance agency, meaning they're not tied to just one company, so they can shop all the A-rated carriers and find the best coverage and price for you. Now they've paired that with something that you surely don't see with an independent agency. It's a full-service mobile app. With the OZK Insurance app, you can do it all right there from your phone, right? All your policies under one roof. You can pay your bills. You can request roadside assistance, file claims, change your policies, you name it. You can do it right there from your phone. So you get the best part of an independent agent: choice, flexibility, dealing with real people, and the convenience of modern tech. So if you're tired of being stuck with one carrier or chasing down paperwork, just go to ozkinsurance.com or search OZK Insurance in the App Store or Google Play. It's a local agency with national level options, one powerful app. That's OZK Insurance. Okay, we do have, all right, I see 2 clips that have popped up here from the press conference. Let's actually play those before we get into the chat, because we got an opening statement, which will be Cal's initial thoughts, and then it looks like we got a Carter Knox update as well. So let's start with the opening statement, because I'm very curious to see Cal's demeanor after a performance like this.
Let's move on. Get on the bus fast. Let's get out of here. What are you going to do?
Recording in progress.
Had a bunch of guys that, we got to have fun. And I told them, you got to take responsibility. I mean, we had a great practice and had a great shoot around. So I felt really good until I watched the game unfold. And I saw that they were beating us to every loose ball, every 50-50 rebound. No, 80-20 toward us. They still got the ball. They were 12 rebounds up on us at half. Well, what? You can't win that game. And so no assist. I mean, we ended up playing wasn't us, but you know what? This stuff happens. It happened to us last year. We got it going, and we went somewhere, I think South Carolina, and we were down 35. So this happens. They're not machines. They're not robots. And give Auburn credit. The way they played, we're a lane touch team. Who was the lane touch team today? We're not a team that tries to shoot 33s.
My guy, every team that you played this season is a lane touch team against you, though. I just want to throw that out there. He's right about the 33s thing.
Who did that today? Us. Because the stuff was really rough. If you drove, it was rough. You're not just getting a free lane unless you were driving on us. But like I said, I won't watch this tape. Not my team. Go ahead.
I would prefer that is not your team.
I would definitely prefer that it's not your team. And I think we do agree with the overall sentiment of like this, what happened today is not something you're going to like, that it's going to keep carrying on and being a part of, what's going to affect them at South Carolina. And I also appreciate that he didn't pretend that what he saw happen didn't happen. Like he wasn't like, oh, it's just tough breaks. We played well. It just didn't get to bounce our way. He was like, no, they beat us to every loose ball. You kind of, after a while, it's pretty obvious what was going to happen.
Right. And when he says, burn the tape. I'm not watching the tape. That literally is because you don't want one game to beat you twice. And that's something that can happen in this league. But this has to be the wake-up call defensively for this group. Because like I've resigned to the fact that they're not going to be an elite defensive group. They were really poor defensively this time a year ago. And they flipped it around and they were playing like top 20 level defense by the end of the season. They had to. That was the only way they were going to win games. It's weird to me, Andrew, because you have 4 guys who play a ton of minutes for you returning from that team that was so good last year. It feels like the baseline, the floor should automatically be higher. You have a guy like Nick Pringle. That's been his thing his entire career. And so, yeah, you got to work around some of Ewan's flaws there. You need your freshmen to improve throughout the course of the season. This is not a good defensive team, man. And so you can't have effort issues, right? Like maybe they're going to have their warts. Maybe they're going to struggle to keep guys in front of them or, you keep getting caught in pick and roll, whatever. But they at least got to play balls to the wall out there, and they didn't even get that today. So if there's ever going to be an inflection point for this group to crank up the intensity on that end of the floor, it's got to be this one.
For sure. And listen, effort is something that is always fluctuating, whether we admit it or not, and it will continue to fluctuate. But I'm with you. I don't think skill set wise, this team is going to just develop a completely different defensive identity. Perhaps they will make a drastic shift in what they do schematically. Maybe they will just say, screw it, we're going to a zone, and we'll, teams will shoot a ton of threes and we'll just deal with it. But it's like, we're not going to let guards just penetrate right into the teeth of the defense every possession. But I really think it's going to have to come in later down the year. You have a little bit more sample size to work with in terms of who you're playing, scouting, looking at what the other team does. Once you get into March, there's zero secrets at that point. It's like, hey, here are their guys, here are what they do. Perhaps there's some room for improvement there and realistic improvement, because you can always get better there in terms of being prepared for what your opponent's going to do. But I would love to just see examples of that before I buy into that as a realistic path, because I really haven't seen them do that in any of these specific matchups of like, hey, because that's one thing Muss's teams would always do is we'll take this guy away. They might beat us by hitting 53s, but this guy's not going to beat us. I would like to see them force teams to go to a plan B. And if their plan B or plan C beats you, okay. But defensively, there's so many. The list is so long. I don't think they're going to be able to get it all accomplished.
Yes. Arkansas, by the way, does see this Auburn team again. They'll come to Bud Walton Arena on Valentine's Day. Get back game. I hope.
That'll be nice.
I want to hear what he has to say about Carter Knox real quick. They said on the broadcast it was his hip. We'll see what Cal says.
I think they told me hip pointer when they fell on him. I don't know if it was a play at half court where he got fouled and no call, or if it was one on the other side of the baseline. I don't know. But he got hit pretty good from what I hear. That
sucks because, we'll see. If that's the case, that's better than, like if you pulled a muscle or whatever. That's going to be like an inflammation and then pain tolerance thing. Because, his bro is coming to town Wednesday. It was South Carolina. You know what I mean? So I'm sure he'd be super motivated for that game and everything. So I hope that he recovers quickly and is able to get out there. And honestly, Arkansas needs to be able to play more than 7 guys. Like I even tweeted out, like it was 25-point game with 8 minutes left or whatever. And I tweeted out like, hey, let's get Sealy some run. And I had people tweeting at me like, he's not, why? We're just waving the white flag. You're just giving up. The game is over, my dudes. But if you got a guy who's down right now and you might need to, you're either going to be playing with 7 or you might need to have somebody else. I'm not asking you to bring him in the damn Tennessee game. That was a 2-point game or whatever. I'm not asking you to bring him in even at Ole Miss that was closer than this. But the dude's got to get, if he's part of your plans for the future and you have a situation like you were in today, get his butt out there, man, on the road and get him some minutes and some looks. He was shaky first at the beginning, and then by the end, it looked like he settled in a little bit. So those are very valuable minutes for Sealy to get. I'm not saying he let's say Carter doesn't play against South Carolina. All of a sudden, Sealy's playing 18 minutes or something. He's in the rotation. No, but it's nice that he's gotten some SEC tick now.
100%. And by the way, I saw some of those responses, and what cracked me up about it is it implies that Isaiah Sealy, who is your 9th man, right. It's not like he's the end of the bench walk on a 4-star recruit, on scholarship, top 100 player, number 1 player in the state.
He's
all
had
this
nice
stuff.
games for you this year. Yeah,
I mean, literally, it's like the implication that playing him is like waving the white flag. Which when you're down 25, the white flag's already been waved. The white flag was waved whenever the game started and they didn't fight for anything on the floor. Like the white flag had already been waved. I don't think playing Isaiah Sealy is like that indefensible of a thing. Not that he's going to turn everything around, but yeah, I'm glad he got in there and got a little bit of run.
Yeah, me too, for sure. One more clip, and then I promise we'll get into the chat. But I just see here this one that says Auburn whipped, and we know exactly what they whipped, but I just want to hear what it says.
They took it to us in every way. I mean, we fought those other teams and had a chance. For some reason, guys, I'm going to say it again. They're not robots. They're not computers. They'll have games. Somebody's girlfriend may have been, I don't know, but something that wasn't my team. Now we could even say Auburn made us look that way. Yeah, we could, but I'm telling you, we played other teams that played hard and were desperate and did it. And we were desperate back and ended up winning games. So this was, they were good today. They were good. Give them credit. It's not like we are a bad team. We're a top 20 team who got spanked today.
Yeah. That's what irritates me about this more than anything, because he's right. Arkansas's played other teams that have come out with like super high intensity and desperation and playing, and they've just always kind of been able to rise up to that. They're kind of the kings of playing to the level of whoever it is in front of them. If it's a really good team, they play up to the level of whoever. And some of the teams that stunk, they played down to their level and barely squeaked by. Didn't happen today for whatever reason.
You're going to play teams that are better than you. You're going to play teams that play well, and maybe they're more prepared. But like, it should never just be something you just go into a matchup given of like, yeah, this team's going to play harder than us. This team's going to beat us to loose balls. They're going to beat us on the glass. Like, I appreciate the Cal's not accepting that as like a real excuse.
Yeah, me too. All right, let's get into your chats. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us here, and we'll spend the rest of the show interacting with you guys. First off, from the student section, he says, Pettiford must have taken lessons from Hubbard. I never saw him take a jumper and land on his feet once. He always foul bait. We sucked too. The last sentence for sure. What did Pettiford wind up doing? Because his splits were so crazy between home and the road.
He had a lot of assists.
He didn't do a damn thing. Yeah. Scoring wise, he had 8.7 assists. So good from that standpoint. But yeah, 3 of 9 from the field. I'm not going to say that Arkansas did okay there. That dude probably just missed shots because they didn't really guard anybody. Yeah. But Hall goes for 30. Elijah Freeman comes off the bench and gives him 13. Keshan Murphy had a 16-point, 10 rebound double-double, and that irritates me. Overton gave him 10. I mean, it's a pretty balanced attack there from those guys. Then they brought the European kid in off the bench who they didn't even know if he was going to play. Yeah, he was cooking them and just getting every rebound, every loose ball. He just came in and like flat out efforted Arkansas, and that really frustrated me.
He also was clearing lanes to the basket for his guards, and Arkansas was like, all right, he's just in our way. We can't get like that. This possession's over. I can't contest that shot. He's in my way. It's like
exactly. From Arkansas, we appreciate you, man. He says, first game this season where I was genuinely upset with the effort. Team looked disinterested with 8 minutes left in the first half. Yeah, it's Arkansas. They do this thing too often where teams are going to go on. It's like Pinto. I know he loves to say like it's a game of runs, and it really is. But it doesn't have to be a game of avalanches. Like Arkansas lets a 6-0 run. It snowballs, and it becomes an avalanche. And I don't even know what it wound up being. I guess 11-0 was Auburn's largest run, but next thing you know, you look up and it's like a 2-possession game and you're down 16 or something. And some of it's because you don't defend and the other team is making shots, but it's also Arkansas will come down and it's like an early shot contested 3 or just a silly pass. Like that one that like Acuff was trying to throw a lob to Pringle, who was just standing there, and there were 4 Auburn jerseys. And I'm just like, what is this pass? What are we doing? Malik Thomas had a really bad one there. It's just little things like that, and they're their own worst enemies when teams put those runs on them. And then we've seen at times it's been too little too late. Like Arkansas would settle down and respond. In this game, they just didn't. They were like, yeah, we ain't got it in us in this one.
There was a possession early in the second half, Curtis, where Arkansas ran I don't even remember what they did to set it up, but you got a very easy look where DJ Wagner basically used a screen from Nick Pringle and he dished it to him. Easiest bucket Arkansas got all day was a Nick Pringle dunk that was fairly uncontested. And it made me think, like, man, if you just work against this Auburn defense, they're not like Fort Knox, bro. Like they'll kind of like, that's what's funny is they were so vulnerable. I felt like, a lot of times you'll see guards or just teams that are driving to the lane, and then towards the end of the game, they're a little bit tired, and that's when they start settling for jumpers. Arkansas was settling for jumpers in the first half. Yeah. I mean, how many of those threes did they shoot in the first half where it's just like not even trying, not even getting to the lane and kicking out? Those they actually made. I remember Darius Aguff making 2. They were a lot of just pass around the perimeter shoot. That tells me you're lazy and that you're tired and that you don't want to work to get good shots, and you just kind of know, I can get one from out here, and it's just an acceptable look.
If you want to take a 30-second segment from this game that kind of sums it up for me, it was Arkansas comes down and Auburn's not matched up, and you've got Pettiford, their 6-foot guard, matched up with TB.
Yeah.
And immediately the announcer called it out because TB looked at him, he saw it, and then he floated out to the perimeter. He was just hanging out there. Well, then Arkansas gets nothing out of the possession. They give up a bucket. Then they come down and TB posts him up, and it's like the most difficult effort. I can't get a jump hook over this dude that I'm a foot taller than miss. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, it's that going to be that kind of, that kind of night, that kind of game. Very unfortunate how that all played out. And then the Keshan Hall. I still can't get over how many wide open looks that dude got. And there were times where Arkansas was just running away from him and leaving it. Like, how the hell is he a guy that you help off? It just, I don't know, man. Defense 101, brutal. Hayden Ulmer, we appreciate you, buddy. He says, I knew this was a trap, but thought it was a 5-point loss trap. Cal will use this tape and get in a few of our players' asses. He needs to. He's not going. Well,
sounds like he's not going to.
He's going to, I would imagine that he's going to be all over him with some attention to detail stuff, but it doesn't sound like he's going to be using the film to get his point across there. 22 though. Auburn's giving up 97 a game in SEC play coming into this one.
Yeah.
And it's
the metrics are going to eviscerate Arkansas here.
Oh yeah, there's no point in talking about it. They're going to drop 10 damn spots in the net, man. Like it's going to be ugly.
They're going to be on the bubble. Deal with it. They'll be on Joe Lunardi's last 4 in tomorrow.
Honestly, but yeah, every computer and every bracket, they've been waiting for this, man.
Torvik is going to be salivating at this.
Goodness gracious, rough one. David says, I turned it off with 15 minutes left. Good for you. You knew it just wasn't our night. I just hope this drives the team to get better. Ran into a buzzsaw. Woo pig suey.
Buzzsaw. I mean, listen, Auburn played awesome. They were great today. I do not think that is the story of this game, that Auburn is about to go on to be this historically great team. I think Auburn's going to be like a 7 seed in the NCAA tournament. And you're going to look back and be like, damn, we really let those guys, do tricks on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Hickory Hog says, is this how a team loses to Oakland in March? Asking for a friend. We just got our cheeks kicked up between our shoulder blades. Yes, it is how, well, honestly, if you want to see how a team loses to Oakland in March, go watch the Winthrop game back. And, I'm not saying that Arkansas is not a better basketball team than they were in that game, but they still got some of the exact same issues on the defensive end of the floor where a star player can get off on you, or some random kid hits 10 threes and you can't figure out how to adjust. Yeah, that's how it happens.
Listen, here's where I'm at. I know exactly how Arkansas's season is going to end. It's going to end with what we just saw, where they just kind of run into it and you just know, but your only hope can be that it's in the Final Four and not in the first round. I think both are like, I don't want to say equally likely, but like, I do really think it is that simple. Like, they're going to run into a team that presents them with a task that they just check out on. I just hope it's not some mid-major 13 seed. I really would like at least be in the Sweet 16.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be ideal. Landon Jackson, hope you're doing well, says, walking into practice Monday with the balls locked in the closet type of practice coming. In a way, I feel you. Like it almost should be. When you have a game like this where there's very clear effort issues, you kind of need to make a statement. But then at the same time, because, like we talked about earlier, it's not an excuse, and you just have to figure it out because everybody's in the same situation. But they do kind of look like a team that's, I'm not going to say running on fumes, but they could use some refresh in those legs maybe. So I don't know what Cal's going to do there. And, you almost can't even waste a day on just running the hell out of the team and stuff, because you got to prep for South Carolina. But it's South Carolina, and not to take anything away from them, because hey, they went on the road, and I know LSU is maybe fraudulent, but they just absolutely pounded those dudes. They were in a dogfight with a pretty good Georgia team today. Like they're improved, they're capable. But is this one of those games where, I'm not saying you throw the scouting report out the window? No, you got to be prepared for them. But is it this is more about us and how we respond and how we defend and carry ourselves type of game? Maybe, to a degree.
I mean, make no mistake, Arkansas is very, as much as Auburn imposed their will on Arkansas today, like Arkansas is very capable of imposing their will on a lot of teams, but South Carolina is the type of team you would hope that your talent kind of wins out, but it's only going to win out if you give it a chance to.
Yeah, for sure. We got back-to-backs here from Reed Smith. We appreciate you. Followed up with, can we trade Pringle for Yaxel Lindenborg?
Sign me up.
Yeah, that's one of those that gets the trade gets denied. It gets vetoed, on 2K or whatever. But
although they're both 0-1 today. Yaxel and Nick Pringle.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Both
they are
0-1 big men today.
Yeah, Michigan did take that L. I don't know what to make of the situation at the 5 for Arkansas. There's no doubt that Malik Ewan significantly outplayed Pringle today. Ewan had some efforts up, just like everybody else who was out there defensively. He did have 13 and 12. But they kept lamenting on this, the broadcast team, and they talked to Stephen Pearl, and one of his big things was like, hey, this team, they don't get off to great starts. Like, they are susceptible to starting slow. I wonder why. Like, I get it. And this pisses me off because, this is one of the things, 90% of the stuff we were told by BBN of like, well, get ready for this, get ready for that, was just a bunch of crap. But the wondering what the heck we're doing at some point with the lineup, there's kind of something to it. Here's my thing. If all these guys were playing the way that they were expected to, or, producing or giving the right type of effort, whatever, I wouldn't care. Like, I like the idea if you got 8 dudes and you got 3 starter caliber players coming off the bench, but like, to the point here, when they get off to these slow starts and these rough starts over and over and over, and you continue to look up, and DJ Wagner's 1 of 5 again, you know what I mean? And Nick Pringle's not the South Carolina or Alabama version of Nick Pringle. And then, Leak, nobody played particularly well, but you look up at the end of the game and he's 50% from the field, 17 points. He played hard the whole game. And then Ewan gave you a damn double-double. Cal doesn't like to shake things up until they take an L. I wonder if we're going to see the same starting lineup or not. You don't want to be overreactionary, but this is not overreactionary to one game. This is something that's been playing out in real time for like 6 weeks now.
Well, and it's weird. Like, I can always appreciate when you just get to that point where you just say, hey, don't even check, this is going to be our starting lineup every game. Like, you always want to be there. I just think it's interesting how committed he's been, considering that Arkansas hasn't gotten. When's the last game that Arkansas started off hot? Like, genuinely. Like, I know they've played well in a lot of games, but it's like, I can't remember the last time they like jumped out to an 11-2 lead on anybody.
Yeah, it's been a minute, because I was going to say probably James Matt, but they didn't even do it against them. So it's been a
little
bit.
Arkansas has been playing well. I mean, obviously they were 2-0 in SEC play, like had been playing well post Christmas, and so I get of just like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I feel like with the starting lineup, not saying it's broke, but I just don't think that we are at that stage where there shouldn't be a conversation, or I've come full circle on this, because for a while I thought it was a stupid conversation. I was like, as long as Ewan plays more, it's fine. And he did play more today, but there's been a lot of games where the flow of the rotation is ruined from the outset. And I think there's something to be said for that, for sure.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'll be anxious to see what they do on Wednesday. I mean, hell, especially if Carter's out or limited, who knows what that's going to
gives you a reason to switch it up.
It does. I'm encouraged by hearing hip pointer. Now that can linger, that can suck, but I think it's a little bit easier to be able to recover from than if he like pulled a hammy or a glute or something like that. So we'll see what it looks like. But that probably just means they insert Billy, and then that's that. And they keep everything else the same. I don't know, man.
I also think there's just something to be said. You mentioned that DJ goes 1 for 5 like every game, and for the most part, we're fine with that because that's his role. But are you limiting your offensive ceiling by having two guys that are negatives on offense start and play 20 to 30 minutes for you every single game? Like that if your identity is going to be so dependent on the offensive end, wouldn't Malik Ewan be the guy you would want to start at the 5 or Malik Thomas to be your shooting guard?
Yeah, and my whole thought process on this has been, okay, well, if you can find a balance with what you're trying to do, hypothetically speaking, DJ Wagner would be your go-to perimeter defender, and Nick Pringle would be the guy cleaning shit up in the paint, right? Neither one of those things are happening, and neither one of them have been happening for a significant period of time now. So I don't know. Maybe it's something to consider. Will he, won't he? I don't know, but it's on my mind. Brett says, damn.
It's a good reaction.
He was texting me last night, and he was nervous about the game, excited about the game, and he asked me for a good Auburn game to go back and watch, and I sent him the NC State game because it's a game that they played at home, and they played well, and they won, and they look like they were on steroids compared to that game even. So tough stuff. Eureka Strings, appreciate the super chat, says, feels like the Hogs got down early and just decided to skip this one. Poor effort and energy. Thanks as always for the coverage, fellas. Yeah, we appreciate you. It's a lot funner when Arkansas wins, to be able to come in here and do the post-game show. It's certainly a heck of a lot funner to do the report card and the grades and everything like that. But we cover the team, and we don't hide from the fact that we prefer Arkansas to win and have success. It's good for business, and we've been following this team our entire lives, but we're going to be objective with what we see. And, today was a crap show, man. But I agree with that sentiment at the top there. Got down early and decided to skip it. That's kind of the vibe that I got to.
I'm a little bit worried that that decision may have been made a little bit earlier than after the tip. I'm not saying they went in trying to lose or knowing they were going to lose. I don't think they woke up this morning with the most eager mindset. I'll just say that.
Weird deal. Yeah. And I don't know if Cal is the type to say differently, but he said like, hey, we had a great practice. We had a great shoot around. You didn't have a great game. I don't know, man. Anyway.
Well, having a great practice and a great shoot around specifically doesn't require that much effort.
True. Yeah. You make shots in there. All right, cool. Hell, Arkansas was 38% from 3. So I don't doubt that they've had a good shoot around, but and then what else happens in shoot around? Like you walk through the scouting report and they walked through the game. So I don't know, maybe you, oh man. Gunny, thank you, says, I think we are good. We can't rebound. That's just the furthest summation I have from this game is the rebounding thing. I get it. It was rough today, but go back and look at the last, 5-6 games against, really good competition. Arkansas has pretty much out rebounded all of them. I mean, today was frustrating. It was an effort thing on the boards for sure. That was irritating. I would just replace rebound with defend. Sure. If it was me, Yeah.
Cause they've at least shown in multiple games, like you said, that they can rebound.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't today, and perhaps they won't in the future, but they've at least shown us capability. They really haven't shown us much defensive capability, but I do agree with the first sentence that I think they are good. Arkansas is a good team, but
Auburn is a top 10 offensive rebounding in the country by all measures. They had 9 offensive rebounds today. All right. Now they didn't miss many shots because they shot 57% from the field. So that's part of it, but Arkansas got out rebounded by 9, and there were far too many instances where you see like 3 Auburn players just flying through the air, like above the rim, and just a bunch of Arkansas guys standing there. But, it could have been worse than it has been worse.
And to the point Cal made, like they've played teams that have better effort. They've played better rebounding teams. Last week, we said the same thing about Tennessee, number 1 rebounding team. The rebounding did not kill Arkansas in that matchup. So we know that there's something in there.
Yeah. Yeah, this was one of those all around type of deals for sure. Hayden says, It seems as if Pringle found religion and is not as violent as he has been. I yelled at my TV so many times when he was on the floor. The hook and hold was irritating.
Mm-hmm.
The one that really got me was when they used it was one of their wings as an example for getting into Arkansas's chest and they'll retreat. And like I've seen better, like big, strong, like, guys from Tennessee. I saw a guy, or maybe it was Houston. I remember specifically one guy like drop stepping into Pringle's chest and Pringle just not moving. It was like he hit a brick wall. And I was like, well, that's great to see. I remember the Michigan State game earlier in the year. Arkansas got crushed on the offensive glass, but like the one-on-one post defense that Pringle played against Jackson Kohler, he looked awesome, man. And for him to just get complete, he almost got knocked over. And this is a wing. You're a center. You're a big man. You're a physical player. And for that to be used as like the example, of here's my coach speak here on the broadcast, that was very, very irritating to see, man. I don't like that at all.
Well, the good news is, Curtis, the last time Arkansas had a transfer big man who got called for a hook and hold on the road in the SEC, it was Jonas Adu, who wound up to have a great finish to the season. So, silver lining.
Was that at Rupp?
It was at Rupp.
That happened.
It was at Rupp.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And that sparked his turnaround. So maybe that's all it takes.
A few more chats to get into, and then we'll call it a day. But got to remind you guys about our partners over at Blue Ember Smokehouse, where they do it right. They operate the Blue Ember way, buying only the highest quality meats and applying their signature blend of spices and slowly smoking their wood-only pits. They allow the meats to rest to ensure optimal tenderness, and then when you order, they cut it right there in front of you. And it gives you a little bit of transparency, satisfaction in every bite. You know it's fresh. You know it's good. They take care of you right there in front of you. Blue Ember also caters any events that you might have, weddings, parties, business meetings, any gatherings where a bunch of folks might want to be fed some amazing barbecue. Blue Ember has you covered. You see the numbers there on your screen. Fort Smith, Jonesboro, Texarkana, Little Rock, Hot Springs, and Rogers. They got locations all over the state, or you can check out their website, www.blueembersmokehouse.com. Thank you for supporting your local Blue Ember Smokehouse. All right, back to it here. And again, appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. Seth says, shades of the South Carolina game last year. At least Auburn's good. South Carolina was not last year, but the Cal kind of alluded to that. Like, this happened to us last year. We were down 35 and, we went somewhere and that wasn't my team. And then we were better for it, the rest of the way. Hopefully that's the case here. I don't know.
I'd sure like to have the version of Nick Pringle that played in that South Carolina game last year.
Yeah, that would be fun. It'd be a nice change of pace.
Quick mini announcement. I try to tone down my making fun of the chat. Mm-hmm. If you are taking my comment that I said about Nick Pringle and Jonas Adu seriously, go outside and touch a blade of grass. Like, seriously, just relax. Go touch the grass, pick it up, and bring it inside and show it to your family if you have it.
Who's the football coach that would chew on the grass? Who
was that did that?
He'd put a piece in his mouth.
I remember that.
I don't know.
Who did that?
Maybe that's what some of these folks need to do.
No, yeah, just chew it up a little bit.
Oh, man. Tuna says, they played with their hair on fire. We played uninterested, like to the assist to turnover. What was the assist to turnover? 9 assists for Arkansas and 11 turnovers. 20 and 10 for Auburn. They were 2-1 in there. One of the things that's killed me about Arkansas all year is they press quite a bit. They'll double ball screens quite a bit. They'll run and jump some. They'll trap a lot. They don't force turnovers, man. Like they do not get a lot of steals there. So a lot of times they're gambling, and there's like risk and reward involved. Sometimes you're going to gamble. It's not going to work out for you. You're going to give up an open shot or a layup or whatever. But if you're able to turn teams over a little bit and kind of fuel your transition, okay, you live with that. But they're not even doing that. Like, this team is just defensively, again, like because I agree with Cal. He said, hey, we're a top 20 team. They sure are. And one of the better offenses in the country, but I just don't understand how they've got the length and athleticism that they have and just cannot seem to put it together on defense, man. It's weird.
Well, and like you said, they gamble a lot. You'd think if you're gambling a lot, you're at least getting a ton of steals and giving up a ton of backdoor passes or whatever.
Yeah,
Thomas had that one where he jumps a passing lane, which I will give him credit. He's good for one of those a game.
He is.
I mean, literally every single game, Malik Thomas is going to get
and he made his dunk.
Yeah, so. And it was a beautiful one.
Good
I
one,
appreciated that.
yeah.
But there was Arkansas went, I think, 30 minutes into the game where that was their only fast break bucket for like deep into the second half. I'm sure they got a few late, but
yeah, I think it was 12-2 fast break points at halftime. To your point there, and yeah, it ends up 15-13, but
yeah, it's not indicative of what actually happened.
Not at all. Pooh Bear says Auburn has an 8-man rotation. Yes, just like Arkansas. Each player had a steal. I did not realize that. That's interesting. 2 week passes, 2 week down low, 2 week dribbling the ball. Got to do better. Will do better. I agree with all those things, and I hope that you're right about the will do better part of that. But yeah, and Auburn doesn't even strike. It pisses me off, man, because I think about Michigan State and Duke and Houston and Tennessee, and I just think about the level of physicality that Arkansas has played against all year, and it was this Auburn team who's kind of like Arkansas, a little bit more finesse, super athletic and everything, but they're the ones that punked you from a physical standpoint. It's counterintuitive to anything they've done all year, but they sure did it today.
I think there's something to the notion. We talked about being prepared for what your opponent offers you. I don't think, going into the Tennessee game, it was very clearly like that was the biggest. That's what you have written on all the posters. I think they maybe were definitely a little bit surprised by Auburn's physicality a little bit, and maybe surprised by how active they were in the passing lanes for a lot of those same reasons. It's not really what Auburn's been there for. I know they're good on the glass, but yeah, unprepared for what Auburn brought to the table.
Yep. Jay Neber says, we have not shut down one star player all year. Every star player we play against goes above his average.
Hey, shout out to Darren Peterson for sitting out the 4-minute stretch where his team lost the game today. He came back late and hit a 3 or whatever, but once again, just weird minutes usage with Darren Peterson.
So strange. Yeah, that thing it's kind of a mess over there. It's really odd. There's you could find a couple, like, Arkansas did a good job on Gillespie the other day and Ament for Tennessee. So, okay. But if we're talking about actual stars, you're right. Like, Arkansas did a decent enough job on Malik Dia the other day. Okay, fine. But Keshan Hall, they didn't have a chance. Arkansas does not have a stopper. If there's anybody who plays the 4, and that can be two different things. It can be a jumbo wing, kind of like Keshan Hall is, or it can be the JT Toppins, Cam Boozers of the world. Arkansas ain't got an answer for them. They just don't. And the super electric guards, and this is why I was worried about Pettiford and, whatever with the job on him today, but like Christian Anderson and Flemings and some of those guys who just live in the paint, man, against the Razorbacks. So there is something to this. And we were coming off the Eric Musselman school of, and you mentioned this earlier, okay, some team has a star player, we're taking that away. You might beat us, but we're going to do everything we can to take that away, and you're going to have to beat us in a different way than you normally beat other teams. Arkansas's the one thing that I felt like they didn't appropriately address with this roster was at the 4. And I get it with Trevin, and he's been good for you all year, but you didn't go replace a Du Thero. And I know it's like, how do you do that? Because he's a unicorn, but you don't have that jumbo wing, switchable Swiss Army knife type of defender. They just don't have it. Maybe they thought Carter would be that. He's not. Trevin is he's a unique defender in his own right with his length and everything. But no, they don't have the person that you can just say, okay, that's your man. And honestly, talk to me about the metrics or, defensive box plus minus or whatever the hell, all you want to. Billy hasn't been that great defensively this season. He makes plays. He can create some chaos in there and everything, but like sitting down, guarding a man and keeping him in front of you, he just ain't been doing it.
He's great as a rover, a defender that you can kind of let play center field a little bit, just kind of go coast to coast, do his thing and survey the field. He's not a type of guy that you like what Audi's Tony was doing for Arkansas down the stretch.
Yes, they would put him on a point guard.
Yeah. He's not a one-on-one, I'm going to shut you down. He does a lot of work off ball. He does a lot of work as help defense at the rim, making plays with his hands. But yeah, the one-on-one stand in front of a guy, not his forte.
Yeah, for sure. NWA Sportsman says, we know the defense is lacking, but settling for threes in the first half got us down so much. I mean, probably a combination of the two, but you're right. Like, I think it was 16 of Arkansas's maybe it was 11 of their first 16 shots or something, but
10 of 13 or something like that too. It started a lot.
At one point I wrote it down. I don't know where I put it, but Arkansas was down big, and it was late in the first half, and 64% of their shot attempts were threes. And Malik Ewan was about to go to the line and shoot their first free throws of the game. And it's just, it's not a recipe. And I know this is a good 3-point shooting team and everything, but yeah, it was a lot of settling. Then you're missing threes, and it's weird because they weren't crashing the offensive glass, but the long rebounds were getting and they were just getting beat in transition. Arkansas's transition defense is not good. To be a team that's so good getting up and down the floor offensively, on the other end, they get burned in transition. They were just jogging around so much. And what really irritates me, and I understand, like, you don't want to pick up a cheap foul if it's a given or whatever, but you played, basketball, like even in grade school or high school or whatever, if you turn it over, you sprint your butt back defensively and try to make a play or try to get into the play. If Arkansas has a live ball turnover, they stand and watch. It's like, hey, go get your highlight, man. It's all good. We'll just take it out and try to come back and hit a 3 to your 2 or something. But they do not sprint back after turnovers, and that drives me crazy, man.
I have not seen a Euro step not work on Arkansas in transition, because what happens is when they Euro, they just go for the ball and don't even contest the shot. It's one, like, get back, contest the shot at least. It's going to be tough when you got 2-on-1 or whatever, but it's rare it's crazy how many times in transition the shot goes completely uncontested. And I get if you can't quite get there, but it's like, it feels like they get there and then just whiff or try to steal the ball or something weird. Euros are undefeated against Arkansas.
Yeah. Yes, they are. From Phil, he says Hall wanted to be a Razorback. He got his today. Yeah, Hall is like the epitome of almost a hog. Yeah. He legitimately tried to commit to Muss. Well, then Muss left, anyway. But it was interesting because for a minute, you were still hearing him connected to Arkansas and everything. He winds up going to UCF or wherever he was last year. He was one of the guys that we confirmed, like, we know that Cal and the Hogs were engaged with this offseason. And hey, Auburn dropped a big bag for him and everything. Cal doesn't do the bidding war deal, whatever, but he'd been a nice player to have, man. He's pretty damn good.
There's been a lot of trips down memory lane in the chat. I've been seeing some Morez Johnson, I remember that one. That would have been a nice one. Obviously, we had the joke about Yaxel, which I don't think Yaxel was never going to happen.
They never gave it a shot with
but
him.
Morez Johnson and Keshan Hall, definitely two guys that could have been Hogs.
Two guys that, you source up the, hey, Arkansas is like, they're in there and they've got an offer on the table kind of deal.
Yeah.
And then they wind up going somewhere else, and, that stinks. But, and we would feel better about it. It's kind of like the people were a little bit salty for a while there about Boogie. It's like, okay, you could have had him back, but instead you don't. He's in the transfer portal. Well, then nobody cared when Boogie sucks, right? And he has the big game today. We haven't heard anything about it, but like if Ewan and Pringle were even what you thought they would be coming into the year, and Ewan's starting to get closer to that, Pringle not, we wouldn't be hearing the Morez Johnson stuff. But when you have a game like this where there's some struggles and you do get beat on the glass and everything, it's like, damn, that would have been a nice guy to have. But then, yeah, any team would like to have Keshan Hall, and he hasn't been a guy who's contributed to a lot of winning. And Auburn's, they're 10-6, or whatever, but he's a hell of a player, man. That dude is good. The Peaks says the media disrespect for Arkansas is crazy and something I'll never understand. I would just point out, this is not the day to sing that song.
Yeah. I mean, when I spoke about it going into the game where I'm like, listen, if Arkansas had won this game, that would have been the most impressive win of this little stretch here. It would have been really hard to poke holes in their resume. And not that it's easy now, but that Ole Miss win is not going to age as like this super awesome true road win. And so Arkansas is going to have to go out on the road and prove they can beat a good team on the road, which is easier said than done. There's a lot of teams that don't do it. And, not saying they like need it to make the tournament, but it's like, this was the type of opportunity that could have shut up all the doubt. And and they didn't do it. And so we think they have a chance to be better. We think they're going to be good, but it's like you lose by 22 on the road to Auburn. It's not the media's fault.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. And criticism it's warranted after a game like this. I think you just got to, I think, approach it the way we have, which is, man, tonight was a stinker and they got to really figure out some things defensively, but the the sun will rise tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, you're 3 games in SEC play, you're 2-1, you just split a road trip. You will be okay. But if you want to do the things that we've talked about this program potentially being able to do, the defense has got to get a lot better. And we've kind of known that, but this is one that really pops for you. I'm sure that the Field of 68 will do their thing where it's like, how concerned are we about the Razorbacks big picture? And Jeff Goodman's going to be like, they're fried. I get it. I understand. But that's also the nature of just having John Calipari as your coach. Like, people
it's
are
also
waiting.
not real life too.
Exactly.
Like that doesn't hurt you. When media people say mean things about your team, I get it. And we are media people who say mean things about teams all the time. It's not real life. It's not going to affect you. I promise.
Yeah. Omri says, Curtis, does this team live and die by Acuff's success? Really, the first time he's had a down game kind of made me realize a weakness we have. How scared should I be? This was a full. Sometimes you have wins, and you say, "Man, that was a full team effort. That was a team win." This was a team loss. Like, nobody brought it, and for Acuff to be off and still have 19, that's great. What I will say, though, to your point, I do think a lot of Arkansas's success, and they've been awesome offensively, is about what Acuff's able to do as a floor general. He gets other guys involved, and him having 1 assist in this game is problematic. And some of it's, like, you can't get an assist unless the guy makes a shot, but we understand the difference in, Acuff's distribution typically compared to what he had in this game. But I do think there's something to be said for consistency from other guys and just kind of knowing what you're going to get from game to game, because it's inevitable that Acuff is not going to go for 25 and 9 every single night in the SEC. And if this is his bad, okay, fine. You need other guys to step up in those moments. And, to a degree, you could say somebody like Leak did or Ewan, but I'm kind of looking at these returners thinking you just got to have a higher floor from these dudes. And you got to know what you're going to be able to get even on a bad night from Trevin. DJ has just got to be more. He's a 3rd-year guard in this league where he's averaged double figures both years. And I know his role is different now, but you can't be going 1 of 5 every night. You know what I'm saying? Carter, and I know he was hurt today, but we started to see a little bit more of a measure of consistency from him the last couple of games. You just got to know what you're getting out of guys. And you can't have a poor showing from Acuff and then have the every other game no-shows from like 2 or 3 others. And that's a recipe for an L.
Well, like we saw early in the game, like when Acuff makes bad decisions, all of a sudden Arkansas becomes a very different team to face. Sure. But I also think if you look at this game big picture and all the issues that led to this 22-point loss, Acuff playing better could solve a little bit of it, but he's not going to help you on the glass. He's not going to help you on those 50-50 balls. He's not going to help you on the other turnover. I know he had 3 turnovers himself. Yeah. It's like he can't solve all that. He's not going to solve your steals issue. Him playing better and making better decisions would have made Arkansas more competitive in this game, but it is a little bit deeper than that. And I said the same coming out of wins. Because I think after the other day we were like, oh, are they too dependent on him? I'm like, frankly, no. Like, I think if everyone does their job, like you said, then this whole thing about Darius Acuff being the engineer of the offense works. Yeah, for sure. You have anything else to say about this game? Have we sufficiently covered it? Yeah, we have sufficiently covered it. I don't have really anything other than to say, other than like, you don't have to yell at us and tell us, and I don't say this in a mean way, but like, you don't have to like yell and tell us, hey, this isn't the end of the world. This isn't going to end their season. We know that.
We've said that a million times.
No,
we
for sure.
Show with it every 5 minutes. We've said it, but you have to react. This is a post game. This is a live reaction to the Arkansas-Auburn basketball game that just happened. So we're reacting to what we just saw. And if you want to just pretend that it didn't happen, why are you on a post-game live reaction show where we're going to be talking about it?
Yeah. Well, and you also don't have to come, if Arkansas, let's say Arkansas finishes 14-4 in SEC play, you don't have to show up and be like, oh, but you guys were freaking out after that Auburn game. And it's like, no, we weren't freaking out about the long-term ceiling of what this team could accomplish. We were freaking out because we just watched them play an embarrassing game. And like I said at the jump, like, I am embarrassed. I still am embarrassed. I hope none of my buddies check college basketball scores today and text me about it. And, you just move on. You dust yourself off. You get back on the horse, and we'll see if Arkansas can – if they go out there and beat South Carolina, not that that's going to be a signature win, it'll be very easy for us to exhale, relax, look back at this game and say, all right, flush it, move on. You beat South Carolina. Now let's move on. Let's beat Vandy. Let's do all this cool stuff. And I look forward to that day. But for right now, I will be sad.
Stinky. Yeah. Can't wait to do this report card. Hey, news flash to everyone. It ain't going to be pretty, but we'll talk ourselves into them beating South Carolina on Wednesday. Appreciate everybody for tuning in with us always. We're going to get out of here. For Andrew Ellis, it's been Curtis Wilkerson with the Pod at the Palace post-game show. You guys have a good rest of your